All right, you're now streaming to Facebook.
Excellent. Welcome back, everyone. The City Council is now back in open session. We will go to the first item under the Finance and Personnel Committee report and ask Alder Taft to read that first item that we deliberated in closed session.
Sure thing. All right. First item is item 637-21. Subject, communication from Mayor Mason seeking to meet in closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute section 1985 1E to address a matter that for competitive or bargaining reasons requires a closed session, specifically regarding an amendment to the agreement with the Main Attraction LLC for the redevelopment of an 80-unit boutique hotel, restaurant, rooftop bar, cafe, banquet facility. Recommendation of the Finance and Personnel Committee was to approve and that the mayor and the city clerk be authorized to execute the amendment on behalf of the city of Racine. Fiscal note, city funding amount for the project has not changed. Funds are available in accordance with this agreement. Move to approve.
Alder Taft, could I ask you to move to approve as presented in closed session?
As presented in closed session. Yep.
Thank you. Is there a second?
This is Alder Lemke. I second.
Seconded by, I missed who's Alder Young, I believe. Any discussion on the item? Seeing no, Alder Peterson, did you have your hand up? Oh,
just getting ready to hit my unmute.
Oh, okay. So when the clerk calls your name, seeing no further discussion, when the clerk calls your name, please vote as you wish.
Alder Mikva.
Aye.
Alder Lemke.
Aye.
Alder Cole.
Aye.
Alder Jones.
Aye.
Alder Tate.
Aye.
Alder Santiago.
Aye.
Alder Peterson.
Aye.
Alder Horton.
Aye.
Alder Young.
Aye.
Alder Pete.
Aye.
Alder Perez.
Aye.
Alder Taft.
Aye.
Amber, could you announce the results?
12 ayes.
Thank you. That motion carries. Moving on to the next item that we considered in closed session. Alder Taft, could you read the next item, please?
Yes, I can. Item 638-21, communication from Mayor Mason requesting approval of a parking facility lease agreement with the Main Attraction LLC supporting the Verdant Hotel development at 500 Main Street. Recommendation is to authorize and direct the mayor and city clerk to execute the parking facility lease agreement. As noted, fiscal note, these documents are in addition to and referenced in the tax increment incentive agreement with the Main Attraction LLC for the Verdant Hotel development at 500 Main Street. Move to approve as presented in closed session.
Is there a second on that motion?
Second.
Seconded by Alder Lemke? Yes, no? Yes.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
great. Any discussion on this item? Seeing no discussion on the matter, when the clerk calls your name, please vote as you wish.
Alder Mikva.
Aye.
Alder Lemke.
Aye.
Alder Cole.
Aye.
Alder Jones.
Aye.
Alder Tate.
They didn't hear you.
Aye.
Thank you. Alder Santiago.
Aye.
Alder Peterson.
Aye.
Alder Horton.
Aye.
Alder Young.
Aye.
Alder Pete.
Aye.
Alder Perez.
Aye.
Alder Taft.
Aye.
There's 12 ayes.
Motion carries. Alder Taft, could you read the final item that we deliberated in closed session?
Yes, sir. Item 640-21, communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the city attorney, requesting that city attorney meet with the Finance and Personnel Committee concerning litigation in which the city is involved, specifically House v. Cleveland et al., U.S. District Court, Eastern District of Wisconsin, case number 19-CV-397, Recommendation of the Finance and Personnel Committee is to approve the negotiated settlement. Fiscal note funds are available as denoted. Move to approve as presented in closed session.
Is there a second on that motion?
Second.
Seconded by Alder Horton. Any discussion on this motion? Seeing no discussion on the matter, when the clerk calls your name, please vote as you wish.
Alder Mikma,
Aye.
Alder Lemke,
Aye.
Alder Coe,
No.
Alder Jones,
Aye.
Alder Tate.
Aye.
Alder Santiago,
Aye.
Alder Peterson,
Aye.
Alder Horton,
Aye.
Alder Young,
Aye.
Alder Pete,
Aye.
Alder Perez,
Aye.
Alder Taft.
Aye.
It is 11 ayes and 1 no.
Motion carries. Moving on now to the regular scheduled items in open session and the remainder of the Finance and Personnel Report. Alder Taft, did you have any other items for separate consideration?
I did receive one such request, but the item number does not, that was requested, doesn't exist, so it must be mistyped. So if the alder who emailed me about the item would like to clarify which item they were referencing, I would be happy to oblige.
First item, 63921. Sorry for the
Okay,
mistake.
thanks. No, that's okay. So that's the one, it's the first item. So I will read the item 639-21, communication from Mayor Mason requesting allocation and expenditure of $6,625,000 in American Rescue Plan Act or ARPA funding for limited term employees, contracted compliance and grant support, developing policies and programs for vaccination, housing and home ownership, and employee recruitment. Recommendation of the Finance and Personnel Committee is that the request from Mayor Mason to allocate it and expend $6,625,000 in American Rescue Plan Act funding for limited term, or for, as denoted, be approved as amended. Staff has reviewed and confirmed all applicable ARPA rules to verify that all uses are allowable. Fiscal note, total ARPA funding allocated not to exceed $6,625,000. The ARPA funds are currently uncommitted and require no city match. Move to approve.
Motion to approve the item. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alder Pete. Any discussion on the matter? We'll start with Alder Peterson.
Yes, I got no problem with the majority of this. The one thing I would like to add and make an amendment to is being that I know one of the alders in the Finance Committee had an issue with handing out money to people who, for whatever reason, chose not to get a shot. There's a lot of money there, the 600,000, to satisfy people who may be upset with handing out money to people who chose not to get the vaccine when it was first offered. I would like to make an amendment to add the $50 per dose to the booster shots. So any individual that gets the booster shot will get that $50, being that the booster shots are coming out.
Okay, there's an amendment to make the money available for individuals who may need to receive a booster shot. Is there a second for that amendment?
Second.
Seconded by Alder Coe. Any discussion on that item? I will just say the intention was to get to the folks who were completely unvaccinated. We are at current state. I don't know if Dottie K. Bowersox is on the line, but as of now, we just crossed 40% of our community being fully vaccinated. And I think that, well, Shannon Powell has his hand raised. He may be able to ask for some clarification there. Shannon?
Just as sort of a matter of fact, I mean, Vicky and I were discussing sort of this, because that is sort of new information. Alder Peterson, even from the last time you and I discussed that, this is the booster shots are going to be coming for a degree of people. Just as sort of an experiment, right? I mean, like all of these endeavors are in somewhat of an experiment. I don't think city staff is opposed at all to, if that becomes a thing, we will still want to get people to get the booster shots also, right? I mean, like, everybody will need to get that. The original intent was to try to get as many people who are unvaccinated still vaccinated, but I think, those will all be efforts that will be underway as more people become eligible, either for, lower age groups or boosters. So I don't think that fundamentally changes what we were attempting to do. Vicky can speak more to that, if she'd like.
Alder Taft.
I was just going to say, I think it's an interesting idea. I think really what we need to be prioritizing right now. So because people who are vaccinated, I think we understand that people can have breakthrough infections and be contagious, and boosters may be required. But I think the urgency is getting folks that are unvaccinated, to have their first shots. I think that's where we should put most of our energy right now, because people who are vaccinated, even though they can potentially get infected and potentially pass the infection on, they're much less likely to get hospitalized or, die as a result of this infection. And the more unvaccinated people we get, I don't know, I think that should be a priority. I don't know if we phase in the boosters or what. There's a finite amount of money attached to it that we approved for this particular incentive. So I'd like to see the focus be on unvaccinated folks, at least for a period of time before we phase in boosters. So my understanding is that boosters are maybe recommended for 8 months after your second shot. So we may have some time to phase that in. But as science is, that could change.
Alder Tate the second.
Thank you. Not opposed to incentivizing any future protections through vaccination. I will echo others' points, though. At this point, the goal is to get from unvaccinated to vaccinated. And certainly, I think if we get, and right now, we can't necessarily incentivize something that isn't available either. Booster shots are not widely available, or they're certainly being discussed. And I think once they are available, we can discuss what our strategies are to get our community boosted for those who've already been vaccinated. But I think we're a bit premature. I think having the idea out there now is good. But in terms of what our immediate action that we're taking today is, I don't think boosters necessarily need to be a part of that conversation, because there is 60% of our city that is still unvaccinated. And I think the 40% who is will also be incentivized to help the 60% get vaccinated by, I'm not sure if the language is updated for all the alders to see, but $50 going to those folks, or incentives going to those folks as well, to bring unvaccinated people to get vaccinated. So I think that's the current focus and the current incentive for both groups, vaccinated and unvaccinated. And I think once we get to a place where we are discussing boosters and their prevalence, and if we see the data in terms of who is or isn't, or is not getting vaccinated or getting the booster, then we can discuss whether incentives are appropriate at that time. But I think for now, the goal is going from unvaccinated to vaccinated and incentivizing everybody who can participate in the process, whether you need the shot or you're someone you know who needs the shot, to be incentivized to do that. So certainly don't think it's a terrible idea. I think it's actually a very good idea for when we get to the bridge where that idea needs to be implemented. But I'm not sure we're at that bridge yet. So I would speak against this particular amendment, but certainly table it for a time when we have that conversation. And certainly it's a part of the conversation and should be something that we explore, when we need to. Thank you.
Thank you, Alder Tate. Any further discussion on the amendment? So the amendment before us is from Alder Peterson to include individuals who need a booster shot for the incentive. Seeing no further discussion, when the clerk calls your name on the amendment, please vote as you wish.
Alder Mikma,
No.
Alder Lemke,
No.
Alder Coe. Alder Coe,
Aye.
thank you. Alder Jones,
Aye.
Alder Tate II,
No.
Alder Santiago,
No.
Alder Peterson,
aye,
Alder Horton,
No.
Alder Young,
Nay.
Alder Pete,
No.
Alder Perez,
Yes.
Alder Taft.
Alder Taft, we couldn't hear you.
Sorry, nope.
4 ayes, 8 noes.
So the amendment fails. We're now back to the main motion as presented, item 0639-21. Any further discussion on the item? Alder Perez.
Thank you, Your Honor. What is the percentage of funding that we have available to us that is being used for this particular request?
I believe that number was in the presentation. I'll ask the city administrator if he can recall what the precise percentage of funds available that we're using in this request.
Sorry. So Alder Perez, just to be clarified, are you talking about just the vaccination allocation? Or are you talking about the overall allocation that we're asking for this appropriation?
The overall allocation.
Overall, so it's about 12%.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Any further discussion on the proposal as presented? Alder Tate II.
I just briefly wanted to speak in support of the general proposal as it exists. We're hitting on a number of issues, and I know as a council, we haven't necessarily discussed it, although in previous meetings, we've discussed what's trying to be addressed here. We've been on this list of, what the heck? Am I still here?
You're still here.
Okay. That's some pop-up talking about log in. But yeah, we've had a discussion over years of, being on the second worst list of communities, regions for Black people, as we're seeing in the metro area, and what these allocations are doing are trying to go exactly towards those things, whether it's home ownership, financial empowerment, education, skill building, workforce. So I think these are exactly what, when we talk about rescuing, it's more than just, pulling a person out of the crisis, but also putting them in a place where they can thrive. And I think being creative with these dollars, as the proposal is, to try and tap in directly to those issues is exactly what, we should be doing when we have these opportunities presented before us. Additionally, as we specifically talk about the vaccination piece, we've seen in places that incentives do work, and I don't think there's really any debate to that. But I think it's that much more important that folks who are either hesitant, on the edge, or just short of not necessarily even thinking about it, you put something out there to say, well, if you were thinking about it more, this could be a potential incentive for that. And now folks might actually start asking real questions instead of just being like, I'm not doing it. It's like, well, tell me more about this then. So hopefully that's the way things turn out. And certainly if, it doesn't, we can always come back and reallocate those funds elsewhere, perhaps to Alder Peterson's suggestion for those who require the booster or benefit from the booster, to incentivize that process as well. And I don't want us to lose sight of that, because I think that's a very wise and helpful proposal. It's just not timely yet. So I'm speaking in support of this. Hope others will. We can unanimously support this and go forward and deploying these funds in a way that helps our residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on item 0639-21? Alder Pete.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I just want to make one comment about the virus itself, being that it's still very new and the scientific community is still learning new things about it. And we might come to the point where everyone will have to get a booster shot. With one of the vaccines now, I won't mention the company's name because I'm not trying to give them a plug, but they've already been approved for booster shots for the general public. So what I'm saying is, it's probably this issue of offering an incentive for the booster shot will come up again, most likely. And secondly, the people right now who are been advised to get the booster shot have what we call compromised immune systems anyway. So they're almost, I hate to put it that way, but it's in all likelihood that they will get the booster shot. But as the amendment to the item was written, even if you take that person who needs the booster shot in because they refuse to get it or something, you would still get an incentive for carrying that person in. Just want to try to clarify some of those items. Thank you.
Thank you, Alder Pete. Any further discussion on item 0639-21? Seeing no further discussion, when the clerk calls your name, please vote as you wish.
Alder Mikma,
Aye.
Alder Lemke,
Aye.
Alder Cull,
Aye.
Alder Jones,
Aye.
Alder Tate II,
Aye.
Alder Santiago,
Aye.
Alder Peterson,
Aye.
Alder Horton. Was that an aye, Alder Horton?
Yes, aye.
Sorry. Alder Young,
Abstain.
Alder Pete,
Aye.
Alder Perez,
Aye.
Alder Taft.
Aye.
That'd be 11 ayes and 1 abstain.
Motion carries. Alder Taft, did you have any other items for separate consideration?
Not that I'm aware of.
And at this time, I will put the remaining item on the consent agenda and move on to the Public Works and Services Committee. Alder Jones, do you have any items for separate consideration?
Thank you, Your Honor. No, I do not at this time.
Then without objection, we will place those items on the consent agenda. Moving on then to Public Safety and Licensing. Alder Coe, do you have any items for separate consideration? Alder Coe.
Mayor, he's in the office with me in our conference room. I think he just stepped away for a second.
Okay. Then perhaps we will move ahead to
Who's vice?
sorry. Moving on now to the Planning, Heritage, and Design Committee. Alder Young, did you have any requests for separate consideration?
Not at this time, Mr. Mayor.
Without objection, those items will be placed on the consent agenda. Moving on to Office of the Mayor report. Alder Tate II, did you have any items for separate consideration?
I have one item for separate consideration.
Please
That's
proceed
item
with the item.
0645-21, communication sponsored by Mayor Mason submitting, wait a minute, yes. Submitting City of Racine mayoral proclamation, virtual meetings of governmental bodies dated August 5th, 2021 for consideration. Recommendations that the Common Council ratify the proclamation as presented. Move to ratify.
Motion to ratify the item. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alder, was that Lemke or Taft? Taft. Thank you. Discussion, Alder Peterson.
Yes, a couple quick questions. What is the data that you're using to put us into virtual meetings, and what data is going to get us out of virtual meetings? What numbers are we, what do we have a set number of local and
I'll ask the city administrator to sort of go through the runtime of the presentation. Paul, if you could bring that up.
So I think you're looking for the criteria that, we're basing this decision on the health administrator's advice. We are currently in the high category, which she describes as between 17 and 22 cases per day positivity. So her recommendation now is that we should go back to virtual. We should go back to masks within our building. We have not brought to you a mask ordinance that other entities in government, as you may have read in today's news, are considering. And she's monitoring those cases going forward. She views it in a 7-day period, in a 14-day period, and a 21-day period. And right now we're holding, even though we're in a high category, but she would want to see those cases well below 10 before she would move us into a category where she would make different recommendations.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Letney,
I struggle
Oh.
with this one.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Alder Peterson. Please
No,
continue.
no, that's fine, thank you. I struggle with one because it doesn't seem to have a, Ms. Bowersox says 17 to 22 over an extended period of time. So, I mean, I would like to see numbers, pat numbers where, okay, where are we gonna be? I mean, we're gonna have kids in school with masks. You can go to a bar still without a mask. I believe the fire department served dinner to 40 fire chiefs from around the country today without masks. I mean, it's, I think we can do it safely. I have no problems. I got my vaccine. I'll wear my mask wherever I need to wear my mask. I think we can do it safely without any written parameters. I struggle, and I'll vote no, not that. Just, I got no problem. I think we can do it safely. So I understand the concerns and not wanting to spread it. And we're at a high level, but I think it's a very minuscule concern as to in regards to what else is going on in the community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alder Peterson. Alder Lundke.
I just wanted to speak in favor of the motion. I think, that Administrator Bowersox has been, and everyone in the health department have been doing amazing work for an extensive period of time. I have to say, I work for a school of medicine, teaching physicians, and the kind of conversations that physicians are having around the potential danger of the Delta virus compared to what is in the general public is, I just have to say there's a massive discrepancy. The idea that you can be unmasked safely now is preposterous. There are things called breakthrough infections. Breakthrough infections mean that people who have, even who have vaccines, can be infected with COVID, the Delta variant in particular. Those people are fairly unlikely to die, which is wonderful. But the fact of the matter is those people can still be disease vectors, which means that they can still spread the disease, even though they are vaccinated, to people who are elderly, immunocompromised, children who are not allowed to be vaccinated, because children under 12 cannot currently be vaccinated at this time. And the idea that there is any risk that is minuscule, or that we should, quite frankly, I think we should be considering mask mandates. And I think we are on the lagging end if we are not considering mask mandates broadly. I'm not saying that we need to reduce capacities of any places, but the idea that you should be unmasked in somewhere as a grocery store, we're not talking about like restaurants or something being unmasked because, we have to eat, whatever. But like the idea that we're not talking about simply going to a clothing store mask, like what's the big deal? I think it's insane, absolutely insane. And any physician you would talk to would consider it absolutely absurd to say that the risk is minuscule. And so I'm in favor of the motion.
Alder Taft.
Thank you. I just want to reiterate Alder Lundke's comments. Absolutely. I I absolutely agree that we everybody should be masking now with the Delta variant out. And I just want to speak out on as a person, as a parent of a fully vaccinated but immune compromised child, as well as a child that is too young to get vaccinated. We need to be taking every precaution. I think what this pandemic has shown us is that we can be effective virtually if necessary. We need to be setting an example as a council, that we are doing everything safely. We are trying to keep each other safe and the staff safe and vulnerable folks safe. So I just wholeheartedly agree with Alder Lemke, and I think we need to support this motion.
Any other discussion on the item? Seeing no further discussion, when the clerk calls your name, please vote as you wish.
Alder Mikma.
Aye.
Alder Lemke.
Aye.
Alder Cole.
Aye.
Alder Jones.
Aye.
Alder Tate II.
Aye.
Alder Santiago.
Aye.
Alder Peterson.
No.
Alder Horton.
Aye.
Alder Young.
Aye.
Alder Pete.
Aye.
Alder Perez.
No.
Alder Taft.
Aye.
10 ayes, 2 noes.
That motion carries. We'll then go back to the Public Safety and Licensing Committee report. Alder Coe, did you have any items for separate consideration?
Yes, I have 3.
Okay, please start with the first item.
Item 0609-21, communication submitting an application for a Class B and Class C fermented malt beverage and wine license for CEC Entertainment LLC, doing business as Chuck E. Cheese's, located at 5612 Durand Avenue. Paul is Astro Agent, 14th District. Recommendation was to approve this item.
Is there a second on this item for Chuck E. Cheese?
Second.
Seconded by Alder Horton. If I had that correct. Any discussion on the Chuck E. Cheese license?
Yeah, well, I'm going to speak to this item. So the reason why this came to us, it was a change of agent, but they had filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy and came back in. And Alderman Perez was worried about drinking on there because there's children there, but this place has had a beer license ever since they've been open. And and their criteria is 1 beer an hour and 2 beer maximum while you're there. So we've really never had a problem with there. So I'm hoping we will approve this item.
Alder Perez.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yeah, Alder Coe is correct, but here's some more statistics that I want you to look at, or some more information. I don't agree with this. I've dealt with children. It's been part of my work in ministry, and as a law enforcement officer, school resource officer, I see the issue. Chuck E. Cheese, the reason it's coming up is it's actually a new license because of the bankruptcy. So by denial, we either we don't give them a license if we deny it for alcohol. And if we approve it, then they get a new license. But here's the thing. They said that their total income from alcohol was 2% of their total income for the year. Okay, that doesn't seem like a lot. Chuck E. Cheese, according to their website, is a children's venue for parties and celebrations. An adult who goes there without children, suspicious. Of course they can, but just doesn't seem that, it seems out of place.
Gotta play skee ball somewhere.
Pardon me?
Sorry, please continue, Alder Perez. Please continue.
Thank you, sir. This is not a laughing matter though, so I
Agreed.
appreciate it. But yeah, they do not have active security personnel here in Racine. Milwaukee, however, has armed security at their doors. The way they explained their security was that when the workers see an issue, they will call a supervisor who will then try to remediate whatever's going on. Child violence and domestic violence has a high probability of happening when you add alcohol to it. It becomes an even bigger issue. Not only that, the city of Racine itself has a program in place that was implemented last year for abatement of domestic violence. They not only not have armed security, they also don't allow concealed carry. And I recognize that they have alcohol in the past, like Alder Coe mentioned. I don't believe this is wise at this time. We've seen an uptake in issues, especially because of coronavirus. We know that half of our community is either divorced or not married. So there could be a potential for a lot of problems. And I don't think moving forward, I mean, we're not really putting a dent in their business. It's a children's venue. It's 2% of their income. The rate of decay in the body normally is 0.016% per hour. A total of 2 beers will actually implement itself to 2 hours to being delayed, and that will double it to a 0.3 going on. Granted, it may not mean driving, but do we really want to mix alcohol with the children's venue if we don't have to, and it doesn't do an economic impact to their business? And the fact that they don't have security to address it, you know, we're taxed with our police department right now. I see all these issues coming to the field and to the front of this. I'm concerned for our children, as I know all of you are. That's not a, you know, that's not a point. I mean, it's a point, but it's not something that we will argue about. I'm sure all of you are concerned for our children. I'm a teacher myself. I see what's going on in the community. And I really don't think that at a children's party venue, they should have approval to serve beer. Do they do it at their own property? Sure. But here we're offering a place for them to go, a fun place, and a great potential for a problem. And if it were much more of their business and if they had armed security, I wouldn't have a problem with it at all. But the fact that they don't, and only a supervisor is trained to issue with conflict, I have a real concern with this. And I'm not going to vote for it. And I'm hoping that you guys see my point and don't vote for it either. I think it's a travesty at this point that we're opening a business for children where we're letting the parents drink there in a venue that anyone can show up to and has a great potential for domestic violence, great potential for kidnapping. And I know this sounds extreme, but I've experienced all those things. And if you look at what the paper has reported in the Chuck E. Cheese's in Milwaukee, they have armed security because of all these issues. And what's to say that we're not going to have it here? Yeah, we're a smaller community, but that doesn't, you know, geographical boundaries has never been a deterrent to crime. And I would hope it doesn't happen here, but why permit an added feature like alcohol to an issue where children are involved? I am really concerned about this, and I hope the council sees that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Alder Perez. Any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, when the clerk calls your name, please vote as you wish.
Alder Mi'kmaq,
Aye.
Alder Lemke,
No.
Alder Coe,
Aye.
Alder Jones,
I,
Alder Tate II,
Aye.
Alder Santiago,
Aye.
Alder Peterson,
Aye.
Alder Horton,
Aye.
Alder Young,
Aye.
Alder Pete,
Aye.
Alder Perez,
No.
Alder Taft,
Aye.
10 ayes, 2 noes.
Motion carries. Alder Coe, did you have another item for separate consideration?
Yes, item 0610-21, communication submitting an application for a Class B and Class C fermented malt beverage and wine license for Pair of Aces Sports Bar and Grill LLC, doing business as Pair of Aces Sports Bar and Grill, located at 1743 State Street. Crystal Zaylor, agent. Recommendation of the committee was that it be denied.
The motion to deny the proposal, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alder Pete II. Alder Coe, do you want to speak to your motion?
Yes, so this item came up to us. This particular agent had run the GRC bar on Douglas Avenue. if you recall, they were called in for concern, possibly losing their license. Once weekend, there was over 200 people out in the street. The people told the police that there's more of us than you, we're not leaving. And during that time, they found some guy found a little 4-year-old kid walking the streets in a diaper with no police to answer that call. And there's numerous things that have happened up here, fights all the time. And my biggest reason for denial on this is that where they want to move to on State Street, it's right by the roundabout. It's a place that'll hold about 80 people. There is a parking lot for about 15 cars, and there is really no off-street parking around there to speak of. And because of all the problems at the one place and what I just spoke about this second place, I will hope we deny this item.
Alder Peterson.
Yes, I make a motion to send it back to committee.
Second.
It's a motion to refer the item back to committee, seconded by Alder Tate II. Any discussion on referring the item back to committee? Alder Peterson, you want to speak to your motion?
Yes. Yes, see, I was a little bit torn on this one. It seems like there's been some, I give the lady a little bit of benefit of the doubt. It seems like there's a little disconnect between her and who is actually running the bar on Douglas Avenue. It sounds like she tried to give up her license, but not knowing the process. She's disconnected herself from that place for a year, and I would like to give her a chance to totally disconnect herself and get rid of her other license prior to moving on. It sounds like she was not involved with the bar that had all the problems on Douglas for over a year, and she's got quite a bit of experience working in bars. So I would like to give her a chance to clear up the dual license issue before we turn it down. Thank you.
Alder Coe.
Yeah, there is no problem with the license. She conditional surrender on the item, and she was running this place when all of this stuff was going on. And these things have been going on for well over a year. We bought it up back to committee is because of what happened with all the police were there that night. We didn't tell her she had to give up the license. She conditionally surrendered it. But like I said, my biggest concern is that this place that they want to do has no off-street parking. And there is going to be a lot of issues. It's right on the roundabout on Spring Street, if people know what I'm talking about. So I hope we don't send this back to committee.
Any other discussion on the motion to refer this item back to committee? Seeing no further discussion, when the clerk calls your name, please vote as you wish.
Alder Mikma,
Aye.
Alder Lemke,
No.
Alder Coe,
No.
Alder Jones,
Aye.
Alder Tate II,
Aye.
Alder Santiago,
Aye.
Alder Peterson,
Aye.
Alder Horton,
No.
Alder Young,
Nay.
Alder Pete,
Aye.
Alder Perez,
No.
Alder Taft,
I guess I will. Yes.
seven ayes, 5 noes.
Motion to refer back to committee carries. Alder Coe, do you have other items for consideration?
Yes, item 0628-21, communications submitting an application for a Class B retail fermented malt beverage and intoxicating liquor license for CBI Overseen Inc., doing business as Tropical Paradise, located at 1641 Douglas Avenue, Dorothy Lee, agent. It came out of the committee at a 2-2 tie, so that's why we're here. Can I speak to the item?
Please do. It would be, and a
Okay.
motion would be appropriate.
Motion to deny.
Second.
There's
a second from Alder Perez. Alder Code, do you want to speak to the motion?
Yeah, so anyway, when this first came to us, they didn't, the Good Neighbors meeting they had at the city, they didn't have a lot of information because we had switched liaison officers and stuff. And they basically said there was never any problems. Well, they moved from Martin Luther King Drive, where they really never had any problems, to a place on Douglas Avenue. And pretty much out of the gate, they have had all sorts of troubles. Police would go there and knock on the doors. They wouldn't let people in. There were shootings out there and lots of fights. And this continued on for July 7th, 2019, October 2019, March 2019, January 2019. And the reason why the problem stopped over there, the building was sold and it became a private place. Now they want to move to another place, and I just don't think that they can do a good job running the place after all the stuff we had going on there. They talk about taxing our police resources, and these kind of places tax our police resources where cops can't go to some emergency call because they're babysitting some of these places. So that's all I have to say on this item.
Alder Horton, did you want to speak to this motion?
Thank you, Your Honor, and I don't know if this would be appropriate this time. I would like to make a motion for this to go back to committee.
There's a motion by Alder Horton to refer the item back to committee. Is there a second on that item?
Second.
Seconded
by Alder Jones. Alder Horton, would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes, sir, Your Honor. So I had an opportunity to talk to the bar owner last week, and there was a little discrepancy in what was reported at the committee the night that they came before the committee with the liaison officers. One of the officers I guess he was promoted to lieutenant, so it's kind of like his version was not what the owner had about the bar. So he started explaining this, and he said, hey, all these things I have on this police report, a lot of this stuff did not happen. And there was some animal stuff on there, animal cruelty, a lot of stuff that he was reading off. And he was talking about sending it to the clerk so that we could have it tonight. So I do realize that this came out of the committee as a 2-2, kind of like deadlock. And I would like for it to go back to the committee so we can discuss a little bit in depth. I know that was concerned by our chair as who owned the bar. And it was more like, you know, some prior players in town that I think he thinks that own the bar, but I got the actual name of the person that owned it, and it's not the people that the chair is kind of thinking about. It's a different guy that owned the bar. So that would be just my recommendation for it to go back, and we can have further discussion on it.
Alder Perez.
Thank you, Your Honor. One of the biggest concerns I had in voting no originally in committee is that when Alder Coe said that they wouldn't let people in, he meant the police. The police showed up on site and they wouldn't even talk to them. And that is huge for me. If the officers are there to enforce the law, to help the people that are there, they cannot be considered the enemy. And the fact that they denied the police access and would not talk to them created a humongous flag for me, saying, no, I'm not going to issue them a license if they're not going to cooperate with the police. And, you know, cooperation is tantamount to us having a community that can benefit from policing itself. And the department has offered to work with them, and they're not interested. So moving forward, I'm not interested in supporting their license either at that point. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Alder Coe.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say, I mean, I would feel a lot better, but with the problems we seem to be having with a lot of these bars are ones that are people are renting. If they don't own it, if something happens and the place gets closed down, they just cause a lot of problems before they leave. If they were buying this building and had some investment in it, I'd feel a lot more comfortable with it. But at this time, I'm not comfortable with sending this back to committee.
Any further discussion on Alder Horton's motion to refer the item back to committee? Alder Tate the second.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm speaking in support of referring it back to committee. One, because one of the committee members is asking for it to go back, which I think that's usually a good thing to discuss amongst your 4 other colleagues, particularly if that committee member wasn't present for the first conversation. I think that's just kind of a courtesy to do. But additionally, I do take a minor exception to suggesting that businesses that are renting are less thriving than those that are owned, because it ultimately excludes, at least mentally, groups that don't have the capital to run a business. So like what, you should only be able to run a bar if you have enough money to buy a building. I think that excludes quite a large population. So I don't think we should characterize or even try and create some sort of correlation between those two realities of a renter or a business owner that rents as opposed to a business owner that buys, because that does exclude who can participate in our commerce. So I don't think we should be saying things like that out loud. I don't think we should be thinking about like that about people who are applying to do business in the city of Racine, because otherwise we can only have a particular set of people operating business in the Racine if there's only property owners. So hopefully, you know, before this goes back to committee, some of the committee members can reevaluate how they're assessing some of the people that are going before them, so not allowing certain biases affect their judgment as to whether someone's going to be successful or not as a business, regardless of their rent or owning status. Thank you.
Alder Horton, your hand is still up. I don't know if that was from before, or if you wanted to speak to your motion again. No? Okay. So the item before us, or the matter before us, sorry, the motion before us is to refer this item back to committee. Any further discussion on the motion to refer back to committee? Seeing no further discussion, when the clerk calls your name, please vote as you wish.
Alder Mikma,
Aye.
Alder Lemke,
Aye.
Alder Coe,
No.
Alder Jones,
Aye.
Alder Tate the second,
Aye.
Alder Santiago,
Aye.
Alder Peterson,
Aye.
Alder Horton,
Aye.
Alder Young,
Aye.
Alder Pete,
Aye.
Alder Perez,
No.
Alder Taft,
Aye.
10 aye, 2 no.
Motion to refer back to committee carries. Alder Coe, did he have any other items for separate consideration?
No, I don't.
Then we will, without objection, we will place the remainder of these items on the consent agenda. That brings us to, I believe, the consent agenda. So at this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Move to approve.
Motion to
Second.
approve consent agenda, seconded by Alder Taft. All those in favor, if everyone could unmute themselves briefly. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. We now move on to announcements. Alder Young, do you have an announcement you would like to make?
I do, Mr. Mayor. So I would like to first thank the people of the 9th Aldermanic District. As many of you have seen in the Journal Times today, the story was released that I will be accepting the role of transit manager for the city of Racine, which really in many aspects is a dream job for me. And so I'm excited to dive headfirst into that role. But before going into that role, I want to express my absolute gratitude and appreciation for the residents of the 9th Aldermanic District. In my service on the city council, I've had the privilege of meeting people all across West Racine and hearing their stories, being able to work with them collaboratively to solve issues and to make Racine a residential community of choice, and particularly the Kringle capital of the Kringle capital, which I like to call West Racine. So it has truly been an honor to work hand in hand with my neighbors in the neighborhood. Secondly, I want to express my appreciation for my colleagues on the city council and the administration. It has been such a privilege to work with people who are forward thinking, work with people who are willing to do things differently because they know that it's the right thing to do and because they know that it will work and they're willing to change. And so I've noticed that as a culture and an attitude. And so I just want to say I appreciate that about this group. And thirdly, transportation is the key in many aspects to the city of Racine's future. We're in the third largest economic region in the United States of America. We're in the 10th largest economic region in the world. Yet we're the largest city furthest away from an interstate highway system in the Midwest. And so that means we need to do our part to make sure that we're connected to the region. We also need to make sure that we're doing our part to move into the 21st century and make sure that we are a model community for transportation in terms of technological advancements. And we need to make sure that we are embracing a multimodal system so that pedestrians, motorists, motorcyclists, bicyclists, you name it, can all get around in a way that's sustainable. And we can work together as from different departments to make sure that we're accomplishing that mission. Because really transportation is about connecting people to opportunity. And so I look forward to making that my career. So thank you so much for your service and your team, collaborative team effort. And I am just grateful for the opportunity to continue to serve in a different capacity. So thank you.
Thank you, Alder Young, and no doubt we will miss you as a colleague on the council, and there's certainly a loss for the representatives, or I'm sorry, for the constituents that you represented in the 9th Aldermanic District so well, but the entire community will now benefit from your enthusiasm and love of transit and all that it can mean for our community. And as you so aptly put it, connecting transit to opportunities for people. So thank you very much for your service. Alder Tate II.
Oh, I was gonna say for he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow, which nobody can deny. But there was one item that was not placed on the office of the on the consent agenda because it was not summarily moved, the consent agenda from the Office of the Mayor's Report, which was a 059-20 or 0659-21. And I wanted to pull that for separate consideration anyway, because I think we should all be voting on every appointment as it comes up and not summarily moving it forward. So I do need us to actually move backwards a little bit. Otherwise, that item nothing happens to that item. Because it was neither moved to consent agenda nor was it taken action on separately.
Thank you very much. If you could read that item, I apologize. We were flipping back and forth there.
Communication sponsored by Mayor Mason appointing Adele Edwards as Chief Information Officer. Move to approve.
Second.
We are excited to have a new CIO starting soon and look to Adele starting at the end of the month. If there's no further discussion on the item, I will ask the clerk to call the roll and ask people to vote as they wish.
Alder Mikva,
Aye.
Alder Lemke,
Aye.
Alder Koh,
Aye.
Alder Jones,
But I cannot see myself on the screen any longer.
We can see you,
We
Molly.
can see you.
Okay, stop laughing, John. Alder Tate.
That was Alder Peterson's fault.
Alder Tate II,
Aye.
Alder Santiago,
Aye.
Alder Peterson,
Aye.
Alder Horton,
Aye.
Alder Young,
Aye.
Alder Pete,
Aye.
Alder Perez,
Aye.
Alder Taft,
Aye.
12 ayes.
That motion carries. Thank you, President Tate, for catching that very important oversight before we adjourned.
Thank
Alder
Alder
Tate,
Jones.
do you have any other items or anything else you wanted to announce?
Yes, just wanted to wish all the students who are returning back to school a happy and healthy year. It's certainly going to be a challenging one, as they just seem to continue to be, but hoping that as the kids go back, they're able to enjoy class, learn, and be as safe as possible in doing so, and have a great time and give people like Alder Perez a hard time in classrooms too, because they deserve it.
Alder Taft.
I have 3 comments. The first, I will counter the comment just made by our august president and say I wish the teachers of the upcoming school year an excellent year. They work very hard. It is a very challenging environment now, and I want to express my gratitude to them. I want to express my gratitude to Alder Young for many things, but just being able to, I've learned a lot from him, and it's been a pleasure working with him, and I'm just grateful for his service. And I also want to wish my daughter a happy birthday. She will be a teenager next week. So my eldest. So I'm excited and apprehensive about that momentous occasion.
Thank you, Alder Taft. Alder Horton.
Thank you, Honor. I'd just like to say thank you, Alder Young, for your service. You've always a pleasure to see. You're always smiling when you see, no matter what's going on. And it's been a pleasure serving with you, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, Alder Horton. Alder Lemke.
I also just wanted to congratulate Alder Young and say that we're really lucky to have you in a different position now, and we couldn't have found someone better. So congrats.
Indeed. Alder Coe.
First and foremost, I want to congratulate Trevor. I think it's a good move on our part. Let's see if we can wear him out, getting that going. But what I wanted to say is, so I got a milestone birthday coming up at the end of this month. The 29th of August, I will be 65. And I've had a lot of stuff going through my head about it, what I wanted to do. Well, I have a friend of mine that has ALS, and he's not doing really good at all. And I lost 2 other people that I knew with this. It's a horrible, horrible disease. And my friend that has it now used to fly an airplane. He always told me to fly with him, and I never did because I said, I've driven with you. I don't want to fly with you. But now I wished I would have, because it means a lot. So I'm put it out there on Facebook. I'm going to jump out of a perfectly good airplane on my birthday. Scared to death, scared as hell. But I want to try to see if I can help raise money for ALS. And then I want to move up and say, I want to congratulate my daughter, because a couple days after that, I will be hopefully a grand new grandpa of a baby girl. So just hope, like I said, if all goes well on the 29th, I'll be able to see it. So, but I just wanted to thank everybody for everything that you guys do. So thank you.
Thank you. Alder Perez.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have a couple of things I'd like to mention. First of all, a lot of you may not know this, but Alder Young and I are really good friends. And my nickname for him is President of the World. I find him to be an amazing young man, smart, articulate. I wish I had those skills at his age. And I am really looking forward to his adventure as he ventures into making this city accessible worldwide, not only locally. And I know he can do it. He is an amazing character. And yeah, President of the World, I definitely see that. And if you follow me on Facebook, you'll notice that I even mentioned one time jokingly over the summer, I went to Mount Rushmore and put my picture next to my face next to the president's up there. And then my comment was, my face is next unless Trevor Young beats me to it. That's how much I appreciate him. I think he is just an amazing young man with a great future before him. And I want to congratulate him. I think he served us well as a community. And yes, I know we don't always agree. And he has a great way of putting me in my place. But it's all good. He has kept me sharp, just like Alder Tate has. But that's okay. We can move on from there. The second thing is teachers and students moving back in. I want to congratulate all the kids that are ready to come back. I'm looking forward to it. I'm a special ed teacher myself, and the teachers start on the 23rd, mostly the special ed teachers. So we're looking forward to an exciting year, a lot of challenges again. And another important thing is my granddaughter's birthday. She's 6 years old. Tomorrow is on Thursday, it's my wife's birthday. She's really old. And on Friday is our 38th anniversary. So she has really put up with me a long, long time. I don't know how she did it, but it's all her doing. And I really want to congratulate her for that. And again, I'd like to sign off with my comments by congratulating Trevor for the great service he's done for our community and for our ability to become an international city once again. And I know he'll do an outstanding job. Thank you, Trevor. Okay.
Thank you, Alder Perez. Alder Pete.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Being last, I'll try to avoid reiterating or restating what's already been said. But again, congratulations to Mr. Young, and I'm sure you'll continue doing a great, awesome job for the city of Racine and putting us on the map. And I'd also like to welcome myself, joking about that, but being a technology teacher, welcome the students and the teachers back to the classroom. As Ms. Alder Perez said, we have to start Monday. And I'd like to thank everybody for a great summer. And it's being that this is my 7th or 8th month as being a part of the council body. It's been awesome, and I appreciate working with everybody on the council. Thank you.
Thank you, Alder Pete. Any other announcements from Alders? Alder Young, did you have another announcement you wanted to make?
Yes, I wanted to include a comment that I think is extremely important, which is I want to thank my dad and my family. Now, obviously, my political career with the 9th Aldermanic District and my public service career, none of this could be possible without my family and my father. So wanted to make sure that was a part of the record.
Well said, Alder Young. Any other announcements from Alders? Just have a couple of shout outs I wanted to do before we adjourn. First of all, it was my niece Sydney's birthday this week, so happy birthday, Sydney. And then on September the 4th, my wife and I will celebrate our 17th anniversary, and my parents will be celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary on September the 4th. So congratulations to my parents, and condolences to my wife for having to put up with me for 17 years, and happy birthday to Sydney. Seeing no further objections, Alder West isn't here to adjourn us out. So Alder Pete, at this time, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Is there a second? Multiple seconds. All those in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. We are adjourned. Stay safe, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.